Man, I couldn't believe that Mini Jim got sent to the Dungeons and Dragons all because he caused a lot of troubles for almost a year ago. What do I have to do to make Mini Jim not staying in here? I know, I will break Mini Jim out of the Dungeons and Dragons with my key, so he will never go back in there again. Ha 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 ha.
At the dungeon. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. I can't believe that I am stuck in this cage for the rest of my life. I want to go home so I could get away from these dragons. What? Evil Handsome Warren, how did you get in here?
I know my ways to get to the dungeon. Since I am here, I am going to get you out of this cage so I can take you back to Plotagon City.
Wow! I like your idea. I hate being stuck in cages.
Alright, now I am going to unlock the cage with my key.
Hooray! I am out of the cage. Thank you so much, Evil Handsome Warren.
You're welcome. Now let's go back to Plotagon City before the dragons comes and starts chasing us.
When they got back to Plotagon City.
Yes! We made it back to Plotagon City, so Mini Jim, would you like to come to my house?
Oh yes, I would like to. Now let's go. When they got to Handsome Warren's house.
So Mini Jim, how does it feel like going back to Plotagon City?
It was amazing. You freed me from this cage with your key. But Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my god, I hate it. This was the worst place I ever stayed in my life. I was surrounded by dragons, and I had nowhere to escape this nightmare.
But hey, you don't need to worry about staying in the Dungeons and Dragons for so long.
Yes, you made a good point. After when Evil Handsome Warren and Mini Jim had their conversation about not worrying to stay in the Dungeons and Dragons for so long, let's see when Handsome Warren comes right into the living room.
Oh no! Mini Jim, it's my good clone Handsome Warren.
That's right, Evil Handsome Warren, who told you to invite Mini Jim to my house. And Mini Jim, what are you doing here in my house?
Well, I broke Mini Jim out of the Dungeons and Dragons to go back to Plotagon City, because he doesn't like staying in the Dungeons and Dragons for the rest of his life. And then, I decided to let him to come to my house, and had our conversation.
Oh, my god, Evil Handsome Warren, how dare you break Mini Jim out of the Dungeons and Dragons to go back to Plotagon City, and let him to come to our house. You know that nobody told you to invite Mini Jim to our house. That is so it. Mini Jim, go home right now, while I ground Evil Handsome Warren big time. Evil Handsome Warren, I cannot believe you broke Mini Jim out of the Dungeons and Dragons, and went back to Plotagon City and told him to come to our house. Why would you ever do such a thing like this?
Because Handsome Warren, Mini Jim doesn't like being stuck in the cage in the Dungeons and Dragons for so long. So that's why I freed him from the cage and told him to come over to our house. I am really sorry.
No! Your apologies and forgiveness are not going to work from you anymore. You know that Mini Jim has to stay in the Dungeons and Dragons for the rest of his eternity. But no, you've broken him out of the Dungeons and Dragons and went back to Plotagon City, and you do not have any permission to invite Mini Jim to our house. That is so it. You are so super duper grounded forever big time. Get your evil butt upstairs to your room right now, and really be ashamed of yourself, and think about what you have done, young man.
Wow.